understandably nervous today. I caught him smelling his armpits on the way to the toilet. But luckily he kept the dashes to the toilet to a minimum. Now, he hasn't got a very good record in this area. We found ourselves on a 4-hour trip deep into the heart of the Amazon. Greg managed to soil himself just as we left the shore. Now, you've got to imagine this wasn't a roomy boat. Greg was sat on the hull, sweating, one buttock awkwardly poised. Suspended in midair, he looked petrified as the realisation of the next 3 to 4 hours dawned on him. His first act upon jumping ship to meet our tribal hosts, who are going to look after us for the next couple of days, was to swiftly debag and lather himself clean in the Amazon with some shampoo. Now, I know this sounds a little bit far-fetched.
But
I know you're thinking this all sounds a bit far-fetched. What was Greg doing with shampoo? So some advice for you here, Bex. Make sure you pack a cushion and some wash and go for any long journeys you may have. Now, as you can imagine, we had a fantastic time on our travels. Lots of drinking, partying, of course. I mean, we all know Greg's been partial to a beer or three. There was a time we found ourselves in Peru, staying at an Irish hostel, next to an Irish bar, and as luck would have it, it was St Paddy's Day. Now, maybe Greg got swept away with the occasion, but he was so drunk, he was refused service in the Irish bar at 11 AM. Now, how drunk do you need to be exactly to be refused to drink in an Irish bar on St Paddy's Day? Now, he did what any self-respecting Englishman would do under the circumstances. He started crying. He was crying in a bar at 11 AM. Now, this would be a low point by anyone's standards, but no, not our Greg. Another time, he was forcibly ejected from a post office in Bolivia for being so... firstly, being drunk, and secondly, trying to post himself back to his post office. The time? 9 AM.
It's a different culture out there.
It gets better. It gets better. He fell asleep on a bench outside the post office, and some passing schoolgirls drew a mouse's nose and whiskers on it. Email me for the photo. So again, Bex, some advice for you. You should generally be okay if Greg's drinking in the evenings. It's when he's drinking in the mornings that you've got to be careful. I very much doubt they knew this before. Now, you wouldn't think it to look at him, but Greg likes his food. We're in a restaurant in Vietnam, and Greg had ordered a plate of food which was served on a huge leaf, as is the custom there. Now, Greg made light work of the meal and decided to start tucking into the thick rubbery slab of foliage when a distraught old woman ran out of the kitchen shouting, "Hey, fat man, you don't eat plates!" So Becca, again, some advice for you, stock up on your crockery when you next go. He thought he was breaking all those plates. Now, I could go on about Greg's misdemeanors all night, but I want to shift the focus back to the real reason that we're here today. The union of Rebecca and Greg. I thought it would be nice for us to find out a little bit more about what makes a relationship tick with a little Q&A session. So I asked them some questions. I asked them about their first date. Now, Becca said, "We met at my local, which happened to be the only pub in Salisbury that Greg knew. Greg had been to a seminar in a nearby hotel and was in a suit. First impressions were that he looked smart and friendly with a big smile and a little cheeky, as the first thing he said to me was, "You could have made an effort, I'm in a suit." I then think about how much we laughed, how we laughed all evening. I was looking forward to seeing how long he can make me laugh, and I'm still laughing now. Aww. But to be fair though, most of us are still laughing about the first time we met Greg. And now here's Greg's response. We went to a pub called Cloisters in Salisbury. First impressions were, she was a little underdressed, as I was in a suit. She was very striking as she walked through the door, always smiling, a great sign. We started to talk and it felt like we never stopped. Before I knew it, we'd been to 3 different pubs, a restaurant, and we said goodbye in the rain. Bear with me, sorry. The megaphone again. Kissed the cheek because I was pre-warned by Becca that a kiss on the lips on a first date was naff. I left feeling I couldn't wait to see this wonderful girl again. I then asked to tell the story of the proposal. Greg, it was our first year anniversary and I went to work as normal. I didn't last long. By lunchtime, I had made my mind up to return home and propose to Bex that night. I needed a ring, I needed to ask Beck's dad for his permission. And I had about 4 hours to do it all. I was in a sales meeting with JP, my boss, and I confessed my intentions and he sent me straight home. Now where's JP? Is he here? Yeah. I think he deserves a round of applause for sending me home. Good work. Good work. 2 hours later I bought the ring. 2 hours later Bex was home. And I'd been in the garden acting naturally, but unfortunately I was on the phone when she came back. Opportunity missed. Suspense. I opened the evening's plan out to Bex as to what she wanted to do. Her answer, bike night, full key. Basically 500 hairy bikers on a quayside, eating chips and talking about bikes. I went pilling to the quay with a ring in my pocket and I was very, very nervous. Didn't say a word all the way. Got there, quayside, sunset, speechless, I murmured the words, "Will you marry me?" Cue ring, cue tears, cue fish and chips, perfect. Aww. Now what's interesting about the fish and chips again, did you blow your money on the hair again for the first time? Becca said, we went to the bike night, beautiful sunny evening. Greg was on the back of my bike and wriggled around and couldn't sit still. I nearly pulled over and told him to stop it, but I didn't want to put him off biking. So I didn't. We got there and I spoke to him and I said I was off to the loo. And he stood bolt upright and looks out to sea. I thought he'd had a hard day at work, so I left him to it. We then sat on the quayside, feet dangling over the water. Greg produced a ring, said something that I couldn't quite understand.
It was Spanish.
It was in Spanish. We were both very overwhelmed and happy and emotional, and God knows what the biker community thought. But it was great. Aww. Community thought. Why hasn't that nervous looking guy taken his helmet off? What a lovely story. I finally asked the most romantic thing that they'd done for each other was. Rebecca. Greg drove hundreds of miles out of his way to take me to the airport to go on holiday without him, and then hundreds of miles more to come and collect me 2 weeks later. My other favourite is when he's holding me so close and saying lovely things to me, but I have no idea because he's covering both my ears. Greg. This is Greg's response, okay. Bear in mind, this is the most romantic thing ever done. Bought me a car sponge and some suppositories on day 2 of my John O'Groats ride. Read my mind, sorted my bottom out overnight. So it looks like my advice about the Amazon trip wasn't really needed because Bex is already one step ahead in that. Now I think that anyone who spends time with Greg and Rebecca cannot fail to see and be moved by just how much in love they are. I remember when I first met Becca, I kept repeating the mantra to Greg, do